I thought I set up the GoDaddy DNS correctly. Let me pull up GoDaddy as well because
I
I
think
thought.
I understand the problem.
Okay.
I think if you can show me your local workstation and then show me the Atom editor containing all the contents in there, that will help me understand. I see that this screen currently shows me the virtual machine, right?
Oh, okay. So are we not supposed to do the virtual machine, the use Atom in the virtual machine?
Yes, you are absolutely right. That's
Oh,
exactly
okay.
how it should be. But what I'm doing is just inspecting your setup.
Oh,
So
okay.
this is your knife RB. This is your data bag. The cookbooks that you have contains a MySQL cookbook. That is sweet. Then we have our machine identifier, and the machine's file name is .fun.json. That's correct. Then we have these things, the passwords written down correctly in the configuration. Then we have site cookbooks empty, perks file containing the list of books. By the way, this is not necessary anymore, strictly speaking, but it's okay to leave them there. We have our, this thing should invoke the server recipe
Mm-hmm.
in MySQL cookbook, which is what you have here. And so what I will do is just delete all the books, and then I will look at this file and also get rid of that line, which is strictly not necessary
Okay.
because we are not doing anything with the Nginx software. And we have our gem file is good. My cloud is not I don't know what this file is. This is not
I
necessary.
don't, yeah, I think I might have accidentally created that or
That's
something.
okay. And this is fine. And this is okay. And this is okay. And now we would like to actually run the commands to make these things work. So I'm basically deleting the log file. I'm also deleting this log file, and I will basically run the entire project from beginning to see where the issue is coming from.
Okay.
Here we are, and currently we are on the remote computer.
Uh-huh.
So in that remote machine, we want to go back to local in our workstation. So what does that mean? It means we quit from here,
So log out yeah.
right? Now we're
Mm-hmm.
back to our workstation. And in here, we are on the My Cloud folder, which is where the files are.
Mm-hmm.
And here we want to, first of all, say works, sorry. We want to say bundle install for the gem file. And it will basically create that log file for gem file. And then we have that log file in place that
Mm-hmm.
you see here, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Now we will do bundle zip works install to get the cookbooks, and the cookbooks are coming, and they are probably already available locally, and so they came with this book and an associated dependency. So that's what we have. Now we have our works file lock created, which is
Mm-hmm.
nice. Now what you want to do is just ping that domain that you have, which is what that name is.
So the domain was, this is where I think I was getting confused. Do you need like the gladamsburg.fun?
Yeah, can you type that?
Yeah.
Okay. So see, this is
Mm-hmm.
going to your GoDaddy. Okay, break it.
Okay.
So we need to check your GoDaddy control panel
Okay, let
on
me
a
bring
browser
that
window.
over here. Here, I'll grab it and bring it over.
Okay. So here we have GoDaddy. We'll go and see what that.
So we can go to my domains.
Yes. So we'll go look at manage domains and then look at the domain
Oh,
itself.
let me log in.
This takes you to the domain.
Mm-hmm.
Now You remember that this auto renew is on, which means next year they will just automatically charge you some money.
Right.
So
I'll have to delete it probably after, or decide if I want to keep it.
yeah. So if you decide to keep, that's okay, but just be aware of the fact that these guys are crazy.
Yeah.
So this domain currently is pointing to this address.
Yeah. So that is my DigitalOcean IP.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so.
I'll show you my DigitalOcean. Let me log in.
Okay. Can you just show me the control panel, the command line? That's faster. Just show me the command line that will
The what?
the terminal
Okay.
in the virtual machine. That was a terminal there. And so here you see this IP address
Mm-hmm.
is what is the number you are reaching from.
Okay, so I think I needed to delete the old one then in the record.
Yeah,
Go
you
to
probably did not. You probably did not delete that. So that is
Yeah.
where the power problem is, right? This is the problem. Parking.
Oh.
You want to delete the parking, which is like this.
What does parked mean?
Parked. So parking means that everything in every record will just go to GoDaddy because
Mm-hmm.
the domain is parked, meaning unused, not running. The car is parked at the garage. Domain is parked with GoDaddy.
Okay.
It's not doing anything. That's parked, not active. So that is why you need to remove this idea. And once you remove that, then your domain becomes active and it goes to this address.
Okay.
Currently, it was, improperly, or not improperly, but unintentionally parked
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because of the idiots at GoDaddy decide that what they need to park everything on their websites. So
Right.
yeah, whatever. So we have this thing. I don't know why this thing is there. Necessary, it's not necessary.
Yeah, that was auto-populated, so.
So delete that. We don't need anything auto except name records and SOA. So these two are necessary. The last one is okay to keep, and this one you created. This one
Right.
also you created. So I
Yeah.
think we are good now, which means we can run this command again. So let us see. What did you run? And so in the past you ran, I think, this command.
Right.
This
And
one.
this I also was unclear on if I needed to put the IP in the root at IP, or if I could have just put in my domain name.
Now, since you have done the work of creating a domain DNS, you
Mm-hmm.
don't need to use the IP address at all.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
And so this will install Chef, run Chef, all the good things will happen, but they did not happen in previous runs.
Right. I think I just
Yes.
had my domain, in my DNS setup, it was kind of
Correct. So
incorrect.
the reason it did not pick up is because your run list was empty. If you look at your previous installation runs, you'll
Uh-huh.
see this wherever earlier runs that you may have
Mm-hmm.
recorded here somewhere. I don't know if that terminal is still open or not, but
Might be. I don't remember if I closed it out or
okay.
not.
If you did not close, you will probably see a record showing empty run list, meaning it doesn't know what to do. So it had done nothing, but now it has done something. Actually, it is still empty. Huh? Hold on.
Okay. So yeah, I think it did run, and it said something out of something
Let's check.
files.
Let us check if it is looking at your passwords and installing MySQL, install action, assign root password, action nothing. Okay, I don't think we have succeeded, but but we'll find out why. It should work, but it has not worked this time. So let's go check if I'm missing a step, and we'll go and examine that. So we ran with this instruction in which we have our run list called out. Our cookbook contains those 2 books, and is there a typing mistake anywhere here?
I copy and pasted, so.
Okay, good. So that is ruled out, but let's see if you can go to the machine. So I want to go SSH to that machine like this and see if my SQL Server is running. It is running.
Oh, okay.
MySQL Server, do you have the client installed? No, not like this. MySQL D.
Oh, okay.
That's the daemon running.
I actually did try the MySQL-V, and when I saw access denied, that was another thing that I was like, did I do it wrong? And that's, yeah.
Okay. It's MySQL minus U root minus P. And then type the password 123, and then you are in. So it worked.
Okay, great.
I already typed it for you.
Oh, you did?
You can try it again. So see that? Now you type the password 123. And now here you are in the database.
Cool.
Yep, it worked. It did not work the first time because of the GoDaddy parking.
Okay, yeah, I kind of
out
had a feeling that was where my problem was, so.
Yep, makes sense. Yep.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, so let's proceed. What we want to do next is start projecting my screen. So let's see if I can project. And here we go. Here I go. I'll continue and desktop and project. There we go. So I have now my screen up, and I am going to open up that website and follow along with the other ideas we are discussing now, which are related to using Chef Server. So the notepad, let me open up my notepad. Here we go. And in that notepad, what I want to now discuss is the ideas that correspond to the next set of what I call concepts. So next set of concepts that follow along in the same sequence, which are, give me a little bit, I'm adjusting my pen and my mouse. Mouse. There you are. Okay, and there it is. So this is in the DevOps segment, and we will go down, scroll down to the area where we have our first run. We did that. Then you have done the homework on your own with the MySQL setup. So here the exercise that you did already, which is successfully done. We have our outcome verification, and we have verify that it worked as expected, which we did. And next, we want to talk about using Chef Server as a rental solution to begin with. So I think this needs a little bit discussion. So here it begins. Grabbing my pen and writing it down right there. Okay. So up until now, we used Chef in its solo form. Where is the pen? Solo. Why is it red? Why is it red color? It should be blue color. Okay. So we used Chef Solo up until now. But now we want to talk about a different way of using Chef, which is Chef client that runs on our target machines, target nodes. And they, whenever these nodes that we have under management of Chef, these things will need some information about what do you want the node to become, and go to a different state, from some state to another state. That state transition needs to happen. And that transition is what is written down in what is known as the DNA, or you can call it your desired state configuration, or you can call it a Chef kitchen, or various names to the same idea. And these things are primarily stored in a central location. And that central location happens to be Chef server. And so we will, by the way, this is an open source product, open source. This is also open source. This is also open source. But the company that makes these products, the company is called Chef. They make money by selling this as a service. So that service is available for free for certain limitations. So if you have multiple machines or nodes under management of Chef like that, and you want to manage five nodes, that is free from this company. By the way, this is open source product, so you can have your own box, some box running this same software, and it is going to be free with no limits like this. So this is an artificial limit because they're giving you a free service that you can manage 5 machines, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But if you get a 6th machine, it's not a problem actually, because what happens is somebody from the company will see that you have exceeded the limit and you have 6 nodes under management. At that time, they might call you saying, what, you looks like you're using the program commercially for other purposes. So maybe would you want to subscribe to that service? And maybe they'll ask you for payment. But at that time, if you just tell them that, what, you are using this for academic reasons and that you are a part of the Cloud Genius Bootcamp, they'll probably go away and not bug you for money. And as long as you keep your usage within the 5 limit, it is not a problem, because the license apparently permits that. Up to 5 nodes, I think that's the limitation, and we'll just find out what they have in terms of actual limits. And so this is the place where you can get started to get an account, and so you can create a free trial. And the free trial is available to you. That puts you on a limited scenario. But that limit is actually not truly applicable, because you can always set up your own box that runs Chef server. And we have an exercise coming up soon in a subsequent step where we will use Chef to install Chef server on a box. And then you have your own Chef server. But until that time, we will be renting a server, renting a Chef server from these guys that make that Chef server for up to a limit of 5 nodes for free. And we'll use it just to begin understanding it. And then once we understand the details of how do we actually make it to use, we can, if we take this to production, you can, get a big box. And in that box, you set up your own Chef server. And then use that. And Chef client itself is available, free downloads and open source. That is not a constraint. But this server is a little bit of work to set up. But once you know Chef, you can use Chef to install Chef server. So it's not a big deal. It's literally one more cookbook and then you're done. One more Chef run and you have a Chef server. So that's what, there is, I think one of the exercises coming up is like that. But until that exercise, which we are not ready to run right yet, I would like you to sign up for this company called chef.io that provides the Chef server as a rental, free up to 5 nodes. And that is available for free to sign up at this website, manage.chef.io. That's the name of that site, which is right here. So let's go there. And it takes a few minutes to sign up. So you want to go click start, get started, and provide a name, email, or something, and say, I'm not a robot and all that. Okay. This is asking me those questions. And so I think I have a login already. I'm just going to log in. so I'm just signing on right there, and there we go, and save. So that signs me into that website. Basically, I'm accessing my Chef server, and you should access your own Chef server and your own rental Chef server. That is what you should be able to do, and it takes a few minutes to sign up. So do that as you proceed. So this UI that you're looking at is the the Chef server UI. It is something that we will not use because I don't like UI. I like command line. So we'll interface with this through command line, but we can always see what we have here. Like, for example, there are these things called nodes, which are the nodes that you will manage, and you will be limited to 5 nodes. So nothing to display right now here because I have nothing under management, but that's how those nodes will show up here in the list. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and my account is also free because I don't have to pay for it because I don't use it much. So I occasionally will use it, and that's the limit that I have also on me. So basically, we are on the same boat. When I need a Chef server, I just set it up myself for me, and that's what I would actually use on my own boxes. So which is what you can do also. But for right now, just use this. So here we will see that in the policy section, we can have cookbooks and roles and data bags and environment and clients and like that. So basically the same idea that you saw in your kitchen that you created locally. Same thing showed up here in a visual fashion. Right now, I think everything is almost empty, except you will notice as you go and create a new account here on this website, that this website will ask you to create an organization. An organization is nothing but a way to describe who will be using this Chef server collectively. So you can have multiple people in your team. They will all be using the same organization. And they will have, each of them will have an individual login name. Like I have this, and you can have your own. But for the exercise, you don't even need to have multiple people. You can just be the person and just using that organization. So for this organization selection choice, what I would suggest is that you just pick any name you like. Probably not Boeing because Boeing is taken. And I have chosen this name called Classroom. That's my organization name. You can choose any name you like. And that's what you need to select as you create a new login account with this website. So that's what you need to focus on, is to remember what is your organization name and also your personal login name. So that's the 2 things that you need to remember. And that I think it's obvious, not super complex. So with that done, I would like to discuss a couple of other things that comes along with this way of using Chef server. And that is that in some noise coming up here. Why is that noisy? Okay. In here, the underlying idea that I'm discussing is that just like you had that kitchen created, like bundle exec knife solo init dot create a new kitchen in my folder here. So in my folder, I have a bunch of things that I will create new stuff and then call this my kitchen. That kitchen, in the very first time you ran, I gave you a ready-made kitchen. Second time you created your own kitchen, and maybe a couple more times after that. But this time, Chef server will create an example kitchen and give it to us. So when you create new login and a new organization and a new user, these guys will give you a kitchen. And it is downloadable, literally downloadable. So you can just double click and download or single click and download. So let me just make sure that I open my virtual machine, because you need to do these things. By the way, you don't need to update the version of VirtualBox. It is not strictly not necessary. It will work just fine. So I'll just skip the update for now and start the machine. And I would actually recommend that you don't update this version of VirtualBox because there is no point. There's no immediate need for us to update the workstation or update the VirtualBox software. If it is working fine, don't disturb it, at least until the boot camp. So that's what I would suggest. Skip the upgrade for now, because sometimes it doesn't gel well, doesn't run smooth. And you would like it to be running nicely and functional correctly. That's what you would like to have. And so I would suggest that if it's running fine, don't update. Let it run, let the boot camp finish. And then later on, if you decide to keep the workstation, you can update it. If you run into issues, call me. And so here in this workstation is where I would like to actually go to that manage.chef.io directly. The reason is that I want to download something, and that I would rather download it inside the VM so that I don't have to deal with file transfers between the actual computer and the virtual machine. The file transfer is possible technically, actually not with, it doesn't take too much work, but I would rather not do. So what I'm doing is using the VM and the browser inside there to sign on to this manage.chef.io. And once I'm there, that's where I need to download the thing that you will receive. But then the question is, where is that initial kitchen that these guys would want me to use? And that answer is that you go to the administration section and then select the organization that you want to work with. So in my case, I have multiple organizations apparently here. So I want to use the organization called Classroom right now. So I select that. So again, administration and then organization. In your example, it will probably be just one, your organization. So you select that one and then look on the left side. There is this thing called starter kit. That kit is what we need. This starter kit is just another name for kitchen, the kitchen that we want to use. And we want to download this starter kit right there. And when you download it, it actually gives you a warning. So here we go. You see the warning now. It says, are you sure? Because if you say proceed, your key will be reset. What does that mean? We'll talk about that just a minute. So they're resetting a user key. And are you sure you want to do this? So I'll say, yeah, do that. So I did that. It downloaded that kit for me. The kit is available in my downloads folder. So I open and I see it. And I will go to the downloads folder somewhere here, and it is somewhere inside. And so this Nginx was a previous download. I don't need it anymore. So I move it to trash. And this is what I'm interested in. So I will expand it and open with Archive Manager, or rather open with Archive Manager, and then extract the contents to some location I prefer. So I would rather extract it like in the download folder right there. And I'd say, okay, extract it please. So it is extracting. And then extraction is done. So now I have this zip file expanded into a folder. The folder has a different name. Folder is called chef-repo as opposed to chef-starter.zip, unzipped into chef.starter. The name that they have unzipped as is chef-repo. So this is the kitchen that I need. This is where I want to work. And I typically work in my home folder, not in the downloads folder. So I'll take this item and drag it over to the home folder like that and drop it in right here in the empty space like that. And when I drop it in, I see that my chef repo pops up right there. It is alongside you're using Chef Solo and other folders you created like My Cloud and things like that. So My App. So it's right there next to them. So the Chef Repo, that's the folder I'm interested in. And I want that to be in my home folder where I work. With that in my home folder, I can see it now here in my terminal. I can just say list and I will see it. It is right there. So that is my kitchen. So I want to go inside. And here I want to work. So I will list ls, and that's the content of my kitchen. Now here what I want to do is open this up in the atom editor. So I will see it. and I will then understand what it contains. And you will find that it contains a couple of things that are kind of unique to Chef server. And we'll see them now. One of the things you will notice is that it has a README, which is kind of pointless. So I'm going to delete it. It's not really necessary for our purposes. We're not following that direction. So we're deleting it. We have, we have a folder here called roles folder. We have a folder here called cookbooks folder and a folder called .chef. In that folder, this role contains a role definition. The cookbooks contains a cookbook called starter dot whatever, then just starter. And this is a ignore file. We can leave it alone or you can delete it. It's not really operative. So I would rather delete it for now. And this git ignore is also worthy of deleting for right now. We'll discuss that later on as to what its meaning is and why it is relevant. Now inside here, we have a cookbook created and given to us. This is the starter cookbook. We have essentially one cookbook in the cookbooks folder and one role in the roles folder. But in the .chef hidden folder, we have something that is very important. And that is the key that they were talking about when I downloaded this thing from Starter Kit, download. And it tells me, are you sure? And this time I should not be downloading because I already have downloaded. And this is my key, by the way. And I should not be showing it to you, but I did, which is fine. Not a big deal. I just wanted to show you that this key is a private key that is used between your machine and the Chef server. That's the relationship. That's the key they were talking about when they said key will be reset. So this key comes in handy whenever you want to interface with the Chef server. So this is you, and you want to interface with your Chef server. You need a key pair so that they have the public key there. And this is your private key that you see, private key. And that key is what I am looking at right here. And the key is called myname.pem. That's the private key. You should not be sharing it with other people. I did because it's okay. Okay for only for me, not for anybody else. You should not be sharing it if you're serious about something. And so the next very important file also is pre-populated for us, and that is this file called knife.rb. So let's go look at that here. In here, you will find that it contains certain unique attributes that are unique to you, or in this case, me. It has a node name defined as my name. It has a client key that is the private key that I have stored in the current directory.
Hey, Nilesh.
Yes.
Sorry, I might have missed it, but so when you did the download starter kit, are you downloading that on the workstation or on your local computer? I kind of lost track of where you're working here.
Yeah, it's a good point. What I want to make sure is that you receive the download directly in your workstation.
Okay.
So you should go here and download it from here to make it easy for you to move files around.
Okay, so I did it accidentally on my own computer. Am I able to go into the workstation and do it, or do I need to create?
You can do it again on the workstation and delete the one you have on your. So that's what you should do. So on your workstation, you should do it one more time, and whatever you have done locally in your laptop, that you should delete that one.
Okay.
And what that will help you with is that you will get a new key that is unique to you inside your virtual machine. That is where you want it to be. And so it will become available in your VM.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Just wanted to check.
Yeah. So as you can notice, inside your VM, in the administration, organization, starter kit section, That's where you will find it. And you can get to that URL directly also by going through this exercise that I have written down here. In somewhere you will find that there's a way to construct the URL yourself if you're not able to locate that particular section. So let's go to this exercise, and that's where you will find how do you construct that URL yourself if you are unable to locate it. So basically you take this URL, and wherever this ABCXYZ thing is, just replace it with your organization name, and that will take you to the right spot, to the location where you can find your starter kit. And then you unzip it and use it and all that. So I'll let you, you can actually follow along in this exercise as I do it. You can also do it. It's not as intense as the next exercise we will have. And so you actually can follow along, which I suspect you're doing. And so I will let you catch up to me, and then we proceed forward. So the other thing that I would like to do, in addition to downloading this starter kit right here in our chef repo, which you have to expand and then unzip and then go there to read the content. The content will show up just like you see in the Atom editor. Is what you're looking at, is the content that you see of the knife, RB, and other things. That's what we have. And so what I would like to do now is follow along in the written steps here. And in that written step, we have, once we download the chef repo folder and put that in a location we like, and we inspect it in Atom, then we are going to do the next step. This time, we are going to operate on the Amazon cloud. So we'll go to the Amazon cloud, for example, aws.amazon.com, and there I will log in. And when I log in, I should be able to show you what I'm talking about, which is the next concept. And that concept is to make sure that your ports in your default security group, in your default VPC, are open. That's what you want to make sure. What does that mean? It means you go to your region of choice in Virginia, Ohio, whatever that region is, and then in that location, in like for example, in my preference is Virginia, say for example, for today. And so in Virginia, I need to go to the VPC section where I have two VPCs here. And the one VPC that I want to use this time is not the Cloud Genius VPC, but the other one, the one called Ignore. I will now rename it as default. The default VPC, that's what I want to work on, not this. In fact, I would rather delete it. Delete the VPC, so it's gone. And so that disappears from view in the cloud of my selection. And you don't have to delete your VPC, but just understand that we are operating right now in the default VPC. That's the key thing to remember and understand. The next key thing to understand is that we want to make sure that our security group that we have for the default VPC are open for these ports. That's what I want to make sure. So I will now wait for this deletion to finish and then go to my Amazon console and then go to my account and look at my Virginia section, VPCs, and there I will find that I have a VPC, and that VPC I want to focus on is the default one. And so in that, I have a variety of security groups. So I will select the default security group, and the default VPC here. And in there, I have a group called Ignore this default VPC. I need to now rename it to something that, hey, I'm actually using this. So this is the useful default security group. And this default security group is in your default group in the default VPC. So all the defaults, just the choices we are going with in this exercise. And in here, what I'm doing is looking at our inbound rules and making sure that we are allowing our rules with these ports. So 22, 80, and 443, we should allow that. So let's go check that, cross-check that. So in our default section, we see that our inbound rules allow all traffic from any location. Oh my God, that's too wide. That is not what I want. So I will cancel these out, actually delete the rules like that. It's very, very wide open. I want to make sure that I set only for SSH from my location. So my location is, what is my IP? It should be, what is my IP? It's not pulling up my IP address. So let's see what's going on. I think I need to refresh. Maybe I'm probably, yeah, this is dead. So maybe I'll do it again in a new window. So I'll go to that window and look at my security groups. And I have the default security group and inbound rules allow for all the rules. So I will kill them all and save. And then I will look at the default security group inbound rules one more time, edit, and provide the port 22. And then the source is my IP. That's what I want to select. And I don't know why it's not pulling up my IP by default, but that's not a big issue because I can always get my IP address here, my IP. So you can query, what is my IP? And from there, you can find out your IP. So here's your IP address. And you paste that in there. And then put a /32 to focus on just your location. So when a traffic is originating from that location, that's your source. So that's your rule. You want to save that. Similarly, you want to expand this to add another rule to include HTTP traffic from anywhere. So we'll say HTTP from any location. Excuse me. Any location is 0000/0. And similarly, I'm adding another rule for HTTPS. HTTPS from any location, like that. And this will allow SSH from my location. This is going to be HTTP from anywhere. And this is going to be HTTPS from anywhere. So the three ports we want to keep open in the, that's why I want to save it, in the default security group, in the default VPC, and that's the only VPC I now have because I deleted the other one. You don't have to delete, but just remember that we are working with the default VPC in this exercise. So that's the ports open, specific ones. Next idea is to make sure that you have your private key with you and public key with this particular region. So Virginia, do you have my public key? Let's go check. So we'll ask them. Basically go look at whether we have the key saved there. I remember I did that. So I will go and cross check. And that's a necessary thing. We have the key pair called workstation, which is, I remember the name of my key, and that I imported that key and I gave it a name called workstation, like that. And then I pasted my public key, which I can do it again if I like to just cross verify. And that is just going to this folder and saying, give me my public key, and grabbing the public key like this and copying it and pasting it here. And this is going to be the work key as opposed to workstation key. And I import it again, and you see that the fingerprint matches, which means that the key is the same. So I can delete one of them. That's it, delete. And that's a way to verify that your key is actually correct. And so you verify your fingerprint, matches the new one. So same key, you have it already. You want to make sure that you have the key pair set correctly. So we have that. There is another approach described in the write-up here, which is okay to do, nothing wrong. But this is just our way of doing is to give them our key, our public key directly. And so I just described you there are a couple of different types of keys in question that I want you to understand, and basically remember that there are three different types of keys that I'm talking about right now. One key pair, it's a pair. One pair is the one that you generate in your virtual machine or your laptop. It is called ID underscore RSA and ID underscore RSA dot pub. That's the pair. That's one type. The second key pair is the one that you saw this chef server gave you. Chef server gave you a private key. And they kept the public key. And a third key pair you will now see is coming, it's also a pair. And this is coming from the cloud company. And they also give you sometimes, it's not actually technically a pair, it's just a token. Sometimes it's a token, sometimes it is a pair. But it can be anything. It can be a public key, private key combination like a pair, or it can be just a token, depending on the cloud company. And what these things are, they are like your credentials to that company. They are containing your credit card information, not actually credit card, but the authorization to use money, to use your money. So that is the key that you want to really, really protect. Really protect this key because it actually knows how to spend your money. And so those are the three types of keys. Now, where do we use this key? Is to connect to one machine or more. That's the role of this key pair that you generate in a VM. The second, the role of this key pair is to connect to chef server. That's the role of this key pair, which you saw when you downloaded the chef-repo folder from chef server. That's the point of this key. Now, this third key is really, really protect. Why am I so panicked about making sure that I use the word really? Is because the fact that it has your credit card spending authority, which means literally, don't take me wrong. This means if you lose this key somehow, I don't know how, but maybe I'll tell you how you can lose this key. And if you lose this key, you will, and that I am guaranteeing that you will get hacked. Specifically, you will get hacked in what is known as so the hacking will basically start accumulating a bill. You will start accumulating a bill of the order of like $2,000 per hour. And this bill will generate from your cloud company. And you will start accumulating this bill at that rate. And if you don't pay attention, you will be liable to pay this money to the cloud company. And you don't want to make this mistake because it will be bad. I mean, really bad for you. So don't make this mistake. I'll describe how to not do that mistake in great depth. Don't worry about it, but just be aware that this is the key pair or token that you should not at all. I mean, not kidding. Don't mess with it. Don't let it go outside your laptop from your eyesight. Don't give it to anybody. It's not supposed to be given like that. Because what will eventually happen within a period of 10 minutes, roughly 10 minutes, and I'm talking with experience of other people who have taken the boot camp, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. A person who managed to let this key out on public, on GitHub, that's what he did. And I told him not to do that, but he still did that by mistake. And his key was exposed on GitHub. And within a matter of 10 minutes, his bill started accumulating on Amazon Web Services. And that was something that was a disaster. And I had to call Amazon and explain as to what we are doing, why was that mistake, and they eventually took out all that bill and basically removed the charges, and so let him go from a liability perspective. But what was going on is called cryptojacking. Like people hijack airplanes, people hijack whatever they want. So this cryptojacking is the idea where hackers will hijack your Amazon account. Basically means that they have this access to the EC2 dashboard so that they can launch instances. And what they will do is select and launch the biggest, baddest instance you can get, like GPU, for instance, here, or maybe this one, and then we go and review. And they will launch 100 instances or something like whatever the limit is for your account. So I think most accounts have a limit of 20. And so they will launch 20 instances in the account and add some storage and add some tags and add configuration security groups and all that, and review and launch the machines, and not just do this in Virginia, but do this in Ohio, in California, and Oregon, everywhere, worldwide. That's why it starts to accumulate such a high bill. And on these machines that they are going to basically take control over, they will start Bitcoin mining. Because they want to make money, and this is like a free computer access for them. So they will run Bitcoin software to start mining for Bitcoins, and they are making money at your expense. That's what's going on. This idea is called cryptojacking. It is fairly easy to accomplish, provided you have access to the key to your Amazon account or your cloud account from any cloud. This is just the Amazon example that I have seen. So that is something that you want to be very, very particular about, because you have your credit card there and you are getting a key from the company, which lets users of the key do whatever they want with the Amazon cloud because you are paying for it. It's your credit card. So don't make that mistake, is what I want to say. I think you have understood what I'm saying. Are the three types of keys: the key you create, the key Chef server gives you, and the key given by the cloud company, or sometimes it is a token or other things. So we'll talk about what basically it's like some kind of a credential that you need to keep safe. The three things is what we'll be using. There are more types of keys, but for our examples, I think it will be three. So we would like to now generate this token. You will see that I will generate a token, and I trust you, so I will show it to you. But you should not trust me. You should not trust anybody, and don't show it to anybody. That's what I'm saying, is that I'm going to show you how to generate a token or a key pair, and from the cloud company. In this example, we'll actually use the Amazon cloud. That's what I am describing here. Get your AWS credentials, and you can get them from the Amazon website right here. So we'll go and see that now. Where do you get them? You go to the name and then go to security credentials right there. That's where you will find that I have my security credentials available here. And you will notice that I have deleted every single one of them. Every time I create a new security credential, I will delete it in the next few hours or so, because I don't want to keep it open. I don't use this cloud much. So, by the way, this is where you generate a key. So I'm going to create a new key pair, and I will show it to you. So here it goes. Show the access keys, right? That's where I want to see them. So I'll say, okay, show me. So this is your key pair, access key ID and a secret access key. So I will copy these things and go back to my command line in the atom editor, and in an empty notebook, I will just write it down like this. So I'll say open a new empty file, and actually I just use that in the knife RB file we have. Just paste it right here. That's easy. Just paste it right there. So this is my access key, and this is my secret access key. As you can see, it's a pair. This is one part, and this is the other part. So both of them together constitute a pair, which is what you can download if you like, but I prefer the show access key and copying them method. That method is much easier. So I just close. Now I have this one key created October 17th. That was today, and it is active. And that is something that you should check, that this key should be active. So you have it saved in your knife RB file for now. Just leave it right there. Leave it right there as is for now. We will edit it later and make it nice, but saving it, closing it. Next, what I want to do is to go forward and read what do you do with the key that you have downloaded, the key pair. The key pair that you have downloaded, I'm going to modify copy these lines at the tail end of your knife RB. That's what I did. And I will copy these lines at the tail end. All these lines. And let's go copy them and take it to the knife RB right here. So this is my knife RB, and here is my tail end of the file. I'll say here I paste. And I did not paste. So I should paste properly. And here I go. And paste. So now I have a bunch of things I need to show it to you properly, and I will do that. So what you see now is an incorrect copy and paste. So I'll undo that, and I do it again. And here is the copy paste that I did. And what you will notice now in line number 19 and 20, this contains the right way to save these keys. As you can notice, line number 19 says, change this. And that will store this numbers, this key itself. I'm going to cut it from there and put it right in this location. Change this, because that's where it will go, like this. And that will represent my AWS access key ID, the value that I have copied from here. So I'll get rid of that section. Next, I have this secret key in my copy buffer. I will cut it. And then go to the secret access key section in line number 17, and then change this and paste the new value of the secret access key right on top, and then save it. And this is my secret access key. So I have saved it in the right locations. The right location, the right way of saving that detail in form of knife RB or knife configuration is that file that we are talking about here, the knife RB file, which is stored in the .chef folder. It's a hidden folder, and this is the file which contains configuration for your cloud company's credentials and Chef server credentials, and your Chef server personal private key, and the location of your cookbooks and things of that nature. So this is where I am storing my Amazon cloud information. You will also notice that in this section, I have this US West 2 selected. Maybe I should change it to something else, because I am actually working with Virginia, which is not US West 2, but if you see the documentation, you will find that it is US East 1. That's the name of the region, or rather the code name for the region is US East 1. If you're working with multiple cloud companies, multiple cloud providers, not just Amazon, that is totally okay. All you need to do is just put in these values from here and here. So change this and change that. And so if you're using Rackspace, you need to get these two credentials from Rackspace company. By the way, don't use Rackspace because it sucks. They charge you $50 per month for no reason, for doing nothing, and that is bad. That's not how cloud should be. So I have stopped using Rackspace because they charge you money for no reason, like literally no reason. Just begin using the service in $50 charge. That's what I saw the last time, and then I stopped using them. But the reason I still kept this note here is because this is exactly how OpenStack is also configured. And so your company has OpenStack inside in your Bellevue office. So you should ask your OpenStack administrator to get you your OpenStack credentials. And they pretty much go like this. Like that. And you have to get this credential and that credential from your OpenStack admin, which, by the way, is Corey, and the other Corey. So he is the OpenStack administrator, if I am not mistaken. And so he can give you that. So change this, change that, and he will be able to give you these credentials, and you can then operate Chef on your company's internal private cloud. Having said, we are not using this right now, so we can get rid of it. And also, you can add other clouds, so for example, DigitalOcean. And so if you're using DigitalOcean cloud with this exercise, you need to get a token. You need to get that token from that location, and then put that token value in this segment. And we'll do that later, but I'm just leaving it as is without changing the change this section. So saving it, closing it. That's what I did to my Knife RB. This contains credentials with my cloud company, so then I can use Chef with Amazon Cloud in a much more meaningful way than we did ever before. So that's our Knife configuration updated as you see here, with credentials in hand and region selected correctly. Now let's go proceed further. So,
hey Nilesh.
Yes.
For the region for the knife line, I'm sorry, I missed how you know that. Is it in the URL of the AWS console?
Yes, there are various ways to find out. Let's go see. So let's go to the Amazon Web Services EC2 section and take your pick. What do you want to pick?
Oh, so it doesn't matter then. Well, so I'm in Ohio right now.
Okay, so go Ohio, and we'll find out what does it mean. So you can see that Ohio is from the URL at the very top, US East 2.
Okay, gotcha.
That's where you will pick the shortcode, region shortcode right there.
Okay, thank you.
There are other ways to read the documentation and get to that, but this is just, it's right here actually. Here.
Gotcha.
US East 2A is the availability zone. US East 2 is the region. That's another way to look at it. Okay, so with that in our hands, the next step is to check Knife RB for accuracy. It's a critical file, and you don't want to make mistakes in there. And so what I want to do is cross-check this file in here, copy it, and go back to our virtual machine and compare what we have versus what it should be. And so let's go do that comparison. And we'll check that item by item. And so I'll begin by pasting here at the bottom, whatever we got from the website, to compare and contrast what we have versus what we should have. So the very first line is just a comment. So I'll delete that. Now, this is also a delete line, so we'll delete that. Then we have this line number 1. I compare it with line number 21. They're same, basically. So I'll delete line number 21. So it's gone. Then I have log level 21 compared with line number 2 up on top, same, delete. 21 log location and 3 log location, delete. My name and number 4 and number 21, same, so delete 21. Number 5, client key, Number 21, client key, delete. Chef server URL, line 21 and line 6. They're slightly different. You notice that 6 and 21 are slightly different. They both work. I would prefer the one that they gave us. So the one on top, I will keep that. Both of them will work, by the way. They are actually DNS aliases, so it doesn't matter. But I delete 21. The 21 is gone, even though it is different. Next is the thing that I want to focus on is cookbook path. This is something that you want to pay attention to, is that you want to keep 21 because it is actually a little bit expanded than 7. Meaning that if you pay careful attention, I'm going to cut 21 from here, go to the top and place it right next to in line number 8 and compare. So what you will see here is that there is this thing called cookbooks, only one item, as opposed to here we have cookbooks and then we have site cookbooks. And I want to have both, not just cookbooks, because I'm storing some of my cookbooks in the site cookbooks folder, which I create, and some that I download are stored in the cookbooks folder. So I would like to use both. That's why I have both entries here, comma, the other one. Therefore, I want to delete this line. So line 7 deleted. Now, I will see that I have kept precedence. Precedence, I have given precedence to this folder above and on top of this folder, because I want to give precedence to whatever I create as opposed to whatever I may be using from outside. I want to be able to override. And I can override successfully provided I give precedence to the work I do. Therefore, this line is before the other line. So it gets first priority here, then here. And that's why I'm able to override by giving precedence to site cookbooks. That's the key thing to understand here in the cookbook path. Next, we'll compare what do we have. So we have AWS and access key and secret key. We already took care of that. So I'm going to delete this section. So here we go, deleted. Then we have Rackspace. I don't want to use it, so deleted. DigitalOcean, change this. I know we have it already. Fine, we keep it. So now our knife RB is a little bit cross-checked correctly. Our site cookbooks selection is there. Our api.chef.io is the new alias or new domain name that this company is using. So I'm going to save that name actually. So let me just copy this, save it, close this file, go to this website here. And here we have api.opscode.com is the old name of the company. The old name of the chef company was Opscode. And the new name of that company is chef.io. So what I'm going to do right now is to edit the lesson and fix the lesson for accuracy. It's actually totally fine to leave it like that, api.opscode.com, but instead I will use this api.chef.io. It's just a tweak that I made in the lesson so that we update it to capture the new URL of the company that makes Chef. It used to be called Opscode, and now it is called api.chef.io or just chef.io. So that I took from what the new api.chef.io DNS name is for the Chef server URL. And so I updated the exercise itself on the fly. Having said, we will now understand the next concept. The next concept goes like this. You know, we have these things. here. And here we will have later on. We'll change this later. But what happens is, you need to have a method in which we will have our chef setup in our kitchen interface with the cloud of our choice. For example, here, I want Chef to launch an instance for me. I want Chef to do these things for me. And so I want to give Chef the ability to interface with the Amazon cloud for me. Chef doesn't have that capability built in. Even though I have provided these keys to them, excuse me. Even though I have provided these credentials to them, Chef still doesn't know how to interface with a cloud like this or that. And that interface to a cloud needs to be written down in code. And Chef by default doesn't work with any cloud as such, because that's how it is designed, to use external third-party plugins. And then those plugins bring capabilities to let Chef interface with a cloud company. What does that mean in practice? It means you go to GitHub and then go to Chef. And there you will find that there are these repositories available inside the Chef project. So we'll look for knife. And you will find that there are various plugins here called knife EC2 plugin, knife Rackspace plugin, knife OpenStack plugin, knife Azure, knife Windows, knife Google, knife Linode, goes on and on. It's a long list. And what these plugins are is that they plug into the Chef setup, and then suddenly your Chef setup will know how to interface with a cloud. So this plugin called Knife EC2 is what I want to actually use inside along with my Chef setup, which means I need to use this plugin, Knife EC2, so I can then have my Chef connect with the Amazon cloud here and launch an instance for me and do everything that I want according to what I desire. That's what I want to accomplish, for which I need to use this piece of software. Now, this software is Ruby language software, which means it should be available on Ruby Gem website. So we'll go here and find out, do you have the knife plugin to work with EC2? And yes, it is right there. So you click on it and read that it's available. It can be installed by this command, gem install knife EC2. So we'll copy that command. And then remember that, you know what, this is not how you install this is not how you install gem by directly going to the command line and saying gem install. That's not how you do it, by the way. If you remember and recall, we have a systematic method of installing whatever we want in our project. We are not using these commands directly, but instead we're writing them down in a gem file. The gem file will contain a list of all the gems we need, like knife EC2, for example. And that's what I want to be able to do next, is to get to a gem file which contains the list of gems I need to operate with a variety of cloud providers. So here is our gem file, which contains some gems. Let's go grab them and not run this. This is not how I want to do it. I want to do it the disciplined fashion, in which I will use the approach of creating a gem file right here in the Chef repo, and say new file called gem file. And in that file, I will paste this content. Save it. Now here I have written down that I need to use EC2, Knife EC2 as a plugin. And I also want to use Knife DigitalOcean as another plugin. So then I can have this exercise be conducted on two different cloud companies because these two plugins will let me interface with those two clouds. And that's what I need to do, is to ask bundler to go to this location and grab these gems for me. So bundler will do it. So we'll go bundler, please. The bundler goes and bundles. I mean, bundle install is the command is bundle install. You can just say bundle, that also works. So bundle has successfully installed, and now we have a gemfile.lock, which contains the dependency map as defined in the gem file. This is the complete dependency map, all the gems needed for our project. That's how it looks like. You need to save it, but you don't want to mess with it. So we now have a gem file with these gems available to us for us to use. Next, what we will do is, we know that now we have the ability to interface between this setup that we are creating and two clouds, the Amazon cloud and the DigitalOcean cloud, which means we are in a position right now to let Chef interface with Amazon cloud and ask questions like, how many servers do you have running for me? Or can you show me a list of cookbooks that I have on the Chef server? Or those kind of questions we can ask. The reason is simply because we have our configuration set up in such a way that we have taken care of keys all over the map. We have taken care of our key pair that we created, and we have given our public key to the Amazon cloud. We have created a public private key pair in the Chef server, and we have the private key with us. They have the public key in the Chef server. And also, Amazon cloud has given us a key pair, which is our money key pair. And that money key pair is safely kept in our knife RB. So now we have a way in which we can just say that you, Chef, please go and check from here, my laptop. Go check with Chef server. What do you have there? What cookbooks you have? Or what other things you have? What roles you have? Or things of that nature. Similarly, from my laptop, I can go to the EC2 cloud, Amazon cloud, and say, what machines do you have running? Or what other things I need you to do? Or maybe create a new machine for me, or delete a machine for me, or set up this machine using my run list that I have a DNA according to my kitchen. And maybe run a bootstrap action here. So it will go and then create a machine, install Chef, go to the Chef server, download the kitchen, and run the Chef client and complete the action and report that I did it. So all these things can be now automated because we have set it up that way, which means we should test it. The first test I want to do is to see if my command line can interface with the Amazon cloud. So let's do that. We'll say bundle exec, which is the prefix for every command we want to run, and say knife EC2, show me a list of all the servers you have for me. And so it will come back with an answer saying, I have no servers running for you. And it will succeed. And we got a blank answer saying that there are no machines running in the Amazon cloud in the region of your choice. In my case, EC2 was chosen to operate on the Virginia region, which is what is, not Ohio, but Virginia. That's where I am pointing my Chef at. So there are no running instances. That's why you get the response saying nothing. Instance ID, name, public IP, private IP, all of these things are empty. But what it does show you is that this setup with knife EC2 server list is actually able to interface with the Amazon cloud and get me the right answer. The right answer happens to be empty because there are no machines there, which is fine. But it did connect to the Amazon cloud. Otherwise, it would have given us an error. Now, the next idea is to make sure that we can check the connection between our Chef setup here on the command line here and the Chef server itself, which is going to ask the Chef server, hey, Chef server, what cookbooks do you have for me? Do I have a cookbook there already? Do I have a list of all the cookbooks that you might have for me? And so the answer is going to be blank, because we haven't given it any cookbook, because it is empty. Chef server is empty, as you saw in a screenshot of the browser interface, shows you empty. So that's what you have, nothing listed. So that at this moment, if you run into a problem like unable to connect, 403 error, or access credentials validation error, or authentication failure error, it basically means that your keys are broken. So you should go and cross check. Right now in my setup, the keys do not seem to be broken, which is a good thing. So what I want to do now is to make sure that I take a snapshot of my machine, because I've been working on all these keys and this and that and gathering all these pieces of information, and I want to keep them in a fashion that I can quickly come back to this point in time. So I want to take a snapshot of the machine, and that will help me in a way that I can quickly come back to this point in time where I know everything is working fine. My EC2 connection is working okay. Excuse me. My chef server connection is working okay. And that's the two things I'm interfacing with right now. And so that's the point I want to get back to very quickly. So what I need to do is to take a snapshot of the entire machine. How do you do that? You go to the VirtualBox machine, take a snapshot. That's the button right there. And here you want to name this snapshot something very meaningful that you know what you're dealing with. Like chef is ready for cloud, or rather to be precise, EC2 or AWS EC2 cloud. And that is the name of the snapshot. So you want to save it. It'll take the entire snapshot of the whole machine here in a few seconds and let you proceed forward. So anytime if you make a mistake or something, you can always come back to this snapshot. That's the point of taking a snapshot. And so that now I have taken a snapshot, I want to use this existing snapshot and just proceed forward. So that's the next idea. What I want to do now that I have taken a snapshot, I will close my gem file also and go back to my command line. And here I will do the next step. The next step is actually interesting, as opposed to up until now, it was kind of boring, copy from here and do this and do that. And it's boring work. And yeah, it is boring. So let's call it what it is. So copy a key from here and put it in what? Knife RB? What's the point? So that's the point I will illustrate now. What's the point of doing all this boring work? I copy the key, place it here and do this and do that. For what good reason are we doing it? That reason is now coming. You will see it now because I think you will enjoy it. So let's go to the next step. And we have taken a snapshot already. So the next step. And now we will like to start sending our kitchen to the chef server. So it's beginning to get marginally interesting, if I may say that. So, you know, our cookbook list is empty, meaning our chef server is empty, but we have a cookbook right there. It's called starter. So I want to send the cookbook up to the chef server. So what I will do is say bundle exec knife cookbook upload. And then please take from this path. Which path I have is the cookbook path. So take it from that path and upload it, all of them. So I should make it a little smaller. So let me just adjust the font and the width and do it again. So the idea is to say knife cookbook upload with this from this location. The path happens to be this location, and take all the cookbooks I have and send them to the chef server. And all the cookbooks I have contains only one cookbook, and the cookbook name is starter. So it will send all the books we have to the chef server, and it sends one book. and says uploaded all cookbooks, because that's the entirety of cookbooks we have is one. So it did it all. All the books are gone up. That means whatever we change here now in the starter cookbook is irrelevant. And if you make a change in the starter cookbook, you want to upload it again, because this chef server keeps a copy of whatever you did before, and that's what it'll use, unless you upload another copy. And in that case, it will use the latest copy that you sent. And so that's the reason why we have to understand that anything that we are doing with our cookbooks or our modification that we do in our kitchen, that change has to be sent to the chef server. Having seen this, let's go see if we can find out our cookbook there in the manage.chef.io. In that location, we should have, in the policy section, our cookbook called starter shows up there. And the README is empty. That's what we have. So that's the book showing up version 1.00. So it shows up visually in the browser window also, which is not that interesting, but just a cross check. So we uploaded our chef server, uploaded our starter cookbook. We like to upload and check the list of books we have. So now we will see that we have one book, and it's there. It's called starter. The version is 100. Next up, we have this role here called starter.rb. And so we want to send that role also up to the chef server, which is a step that we have to do. So the way to actually send a role to the chef server is kind of convoluted. Is that it's not intuitive enough for me, for my taste. But we'll just follow along, read the documentation and say knife role from file. That's how the syntax is. And then you have to give the location of the role itself, which is this location, which is kind of clumsy way of describing, but maybe in a way somewhat intuitive. So knife role from file, and then the file itself. And of course, bundle exec as a prefix. So when you do this action, you will see that your starter role will be sent to the chef server. I did not run it because I want to check bundle exec knife role list. What roles do I have already? And I know I have nothing. So here it shows you nothing. Now we will upload our bundle exec knife role from file roles file. And it will send the role up, and then we will check how many roles we have. Give me a list. It gives you the list. One role, starter. That's the role upload process. Next is to start a machine using Chef. So this is interesting now, somewhat. I hope it is interesting now, I should say. So I will now open a new file here in the Chef repo folder, new file, and call it, just README. And that file, I will write stuff down in the README file. I'm going to start just copying, pasting some stuff. The thing that I want to copy paste actually is this. And I'm going to copy that and bring it here so we can read it and understand it a little bit better. Now here what you see is a multi-line command. And let's read the command in its entirety, one piece at a time. So the first piece is intuitive, bundle exec. We already know that. The next piece of action is right here, knife EC2 server create. Please create a machine for me. Use my key pair that you already know. My key pair is called workstation in the Amazon console. The file name locally stored for my private key is correct. I am going to create an Ubuntu machine. So I need to log in as the Ubuntu user. That is correct. I want to get a T2 micro machine size. So that's the cheapest machine I can get for free. So that's the one I want to use. The free is only for you, not for me anymore. I've been like close to 10 years now using Amazon Cloud. So they don't give it to me for free, but it doesn't matter. So this T2 micro is free for the first year. So use that. And then I'm saying that you need to run the run list containing the role called starter, this role. That's the run list I'm defining. So when you start a new machine, please inject the public key corresponding to this flag, which is the workstation name that I have, and use my private key as a parameter as I make a connection using Knife EC2 plugin to create a server in the Amazon cloud. Use the Ubuntu as the user. But what is this? I don't know what that thing is. So that is something I would like to understand. This thing actually is an Amazon machine image, and it is unique to the region of your choice. So in my case, I was using US West, but what are the US East 1? So that is what I will be focusing on, and I need to get an AMI number for the Ubuntu OS from that region. That will be different for everybody. So depending on the region of your choice. And so that is something that we have to find out a systematic way of finding that thing out. And that's what I will tell you next. So with this understood, what I will do now is help us in focusing on this idea as to where do I get the AMI ID number. Because I know this is available to me on the EC2 dashboard where I save my key as workstation. So that's the name of the key in my example, workstation. Whereas your key name may be different. So you need to change your key name. This is probably the same, this is same, this is same, this is okay, this is exactly this. And so that is fine. But this portion, the Amazon machine image portion, is something that I want to understand. Where does it come from? It came from the Ubuntu OS, by the way, this Ubuntu OS. So the Ubuntu is a product made by a company called Canonical. Canonical. So let's go see that. Here is your Canonical company. Canonical. They make Ubuntu Linux in the open source. So they give it out. And they are the origin or the creators of this operating system that we are going to use in this exercise, which means they actually create these machine images. Line number 5. So we will have to go do a Google search on EC2 AMI Finder. And so we land on this page. When we look for EC2 AMI Finder, we reach a dedicated page created by Ubuntu. And that is this page. Here you will find is an exhaustive list of all the machine images. There are 401 entries. So which one do you want to use? You cannot use just any number. This number has to be unique to your situation. And so let's go understand how do we get to that one number. In this AMI locator, which contains 401 entries at the bottom, as you can see here, 401 entries. What we want to do is go straight to the bottom of this page and then start narrowing down this list of 410 entries. So we'll begin with the first one. And here you see the list of all the regions that you have selected. So in my case, I have chosen US East 1. So I'll narrow it down right there. US East 1. Where are you? Here. So I'll select. And as soon as I select, the number of entries 401 drops down to 32. I still have to select and narrow down from 32 choices. Let's go to the next step here. And here I see that the version code name of the operating system is defined. I can narrow down that by that one, but I don't know which one is the right one. So I'll leave it alone. Instead, I go to the next one. And here I see there are some long-term support versions, LTS, 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 and 17 is not LTS. So it is something to understand what is LTS is one thing that I would like to talk about next before we go back further detail. So if you look at LTS, LTS actually stands for long-term support. And what this means is that, oh, come on, open the page. Yeah. So it means that certain versions of Ubuntu Linux are available for a longer term compared to other versions. Longer term support. What does that translate to? Is that if you have a label LTS as a part of your name, as opposed to not having one here and here, then for those without LTS, the support is kind of limited, only a short period of time. See here also, the period of support is only like 3 months, very short window. I don't know if 3 months or 3 years, or it's not definitely not 3 years, roughly about a year or maybe less. It's a short-term support. Whereas the LTS versions are long-term supported, meaning the latest currently available version, so in 2018, and we are kind of here in the 2018 timeframe. So right now we have versions that are long-term supported are this one, and also this one. And this one is an extended support. So that is not something I want to use. So not this one. So I'll focus on this and this, two of them primarily. And come this April time into 2020 April, then I will switch, or rather prepare to switch my focus on this version, because it's going to be supported for the next 5 years up to 2025. So it's a long-term 5-year supported versions as opposed to short-term 1-year supported versions. Like this one is not that interesting to me. It is available, but not interesting. I'm more interested in this one and not this one. And I'm currently at this time. So I prefer this, which means I prefer this, and also prefer this, meaning I prefer these guys. So I have 1604 and 1804. So I want to focus my attention on this today, because we haven't spent some time yet, enough time on this quite yet. So we'll focus our attention on 1604. So with that understood, we'll go back here to the EC2 AMI Finder and narrow down 1604. Now we have only 4 choices. The code name for 1604 happens to be Janial. Janial is the code name. So with that 4 choices available to us, we'll go further. And it's only 64-bit choices. So that's nothing to choose here. So there's no 32-bit choice available. Only 64-bit choice. And these 4 choices that we have, they have different type of instances available in the Amazon cloud. One instance type that is of interest to me, and I suspect you should also think like that, is you should focus on HVM machines. HVM stands for Hardware Virtual Machine. This is a technology that helps create virtualization at the level of hypervisor level at the Amazon cloud. And what hardware virtual machine gives you is the ability to run a virtual machine slightly faster compared to the other types. That is the reason why I would prefer that you use HVM machine types. So meaning you have now narrowed it down to 2, these two. Which means we have narrowed it down to these 2 AMI ID numbers. And they are HVM types. And they are released fairly recently, like few days ago. Today is what? 17th, so this is 12th. So fairly new recent releases, up-to-date releases, and we want to use them. But then which one? This one or that one? So the way to think about this is that this is elastic block storage SSD based, and that's basically the choice I would suggest that you go with, because it is SSD, as opposed to the other choice, which is an instant store, which is not what I would recommend. So go with this. You get an SSD, hardware virtual machine. And so if you narrow this down in selection, you will find that this choice with EBS SSD choice with HVM is the only one choice that you need to focus your attention on. And I will like to use this AMI ID right here. And I'll copy that. And now I'll go back to my workstation and put it right there as my paste. So that's the AMI ID I want to use. And also my key name is not IDRSA, it is workstation. If you remember that, that's the name I chose in my Amazon Cloud. So we'll go and cross-check. See, our EC2 dashboard has a key pair named workstation. That name has to match this name in the command that we are creating. Now let's go cross-check. This one is the create action. Knife EC2 server create action. Key pair name, correct. Private key, correct. Username, Ubuntu. Machine AMI ID, correct. T2 micro is the size, correct. You can take any size you like. This is the cheapest free size. And this one is the one that I want to actually run that run list. This is your run list. Run list. And so that's in that run list, I want to take on this starter role. We'll talk about these details about the starter role itself in just a few minutes. But now that we have cross-checked every single item, I want to make sure that I'm using this command to run to create a new server in the cloud. Right now, I don't have a server. And in previous exercises, we created the server ourselves by going to the cloud and say, launch a machine in DigitalOcean or launch a machine in some other cloud. And then we ran bundle exec knife cook command or bootstrap command, or prepare command, those commands. This is a different way. This time, we don't have to go to the cloud. I don't even have this window open, this EC2 window. We don't need to go there at all. We don't need to see how many running instances we have from the browser window at all, because we will create a new machine, launch a new instance strictly by this command. And you will see that happen now. Before you run this multi-line command, make sure that you have nothing after the slash. If you have a single little character hiding behind after slash, that means it is not a trailing slash. That means your command will not work like one. So I'm copying this command, by the way, and I'm going to run it here in the command line. And it's just one command. You can see before you even press enter is that it has started execution because of a copy paste that includes a new line character at the end. And it has created an instance ID. It chose the flavor T2 micro. It chose the machine image name that I have selected from my EC2 AMI finder, which matches this name here. It has chosen the region US East 1 from my knife RB. My knife RB dictates what region is selected, which is US East 1. The availability zone selection was taken by default, US East 1A. Security group we are using is the default security group in the default VPC, and the key pair we have used is the workstation key. Now at this moment, the machine is created It is waiting for the machine to boot up. It has been assigned a public DNS name. It has a public IP address, a private name, private IP address. The machine started and it made a connection to EC2 and now installing Chef. And then after that, it will go to the Chef server and get the starter cookbook downloaded. It will then look at the actual run that we have defined in our run list. And we have a run list that says run the starter role. And so it runs the starter : default role, in which the output expected is exactly what you see, which is welcome to Chef, Nilesh. That's it. That's the entirety of the cookbook action expected, is to just, it's like a hello world example. All it does is just runs welcome to Chef in a log entry right there. That's all. That's all the point of this cookbook is to just make sure that you can test it correctly. And so it does say that info welcome to Chef, and it reports Chef run completed. And then it also dumps out some instance ID details and flavor and image and this and that. And some block devices used, the public DNS, private DNS, and the run list used was role starter. Now you can go back to the browser here and just refresh, and you will see one running instance, and it is right there. This is the one that ran this, by the way, this welcome to Chef line. It ran Chef and it downloaded stuff from the Chef server. Now we will do further modifications like usual, but before that, questions are welcome.
So I've been following along so far and everything's been good. I just pasted that long command and it's just been sitting here waiting for SSHD access to become available.
Okay.
I don't know how long is typically normal to wait.
Yes, it is. It is because your security group is not open for port number 22 from your location.
Okay. So let me see how can I break this command? Would I just...
You have to do it again, basically.
Okay.
Looks like you missed the step. And you don't break it. You have to basically run a new machine and you have to kill the old machine. But before you do that, you cross-check your security group, port number 22, open from your location. That's what needs to be checked.
Okay, and your location is the workstation IP?
Yes. What is my IP?
From the workstation, though.
From any machine. So it's going to get you the same IP from whether you do it from the workstation or your other machines in the home or office. You will get the same.
I did that though.
So why don't you share your desktop? So just share your desktop and we'll figure it.
Okay. Share screen share. Okay.
Okay.
So I was in here. I went to security groups. I'm doing the default one, inbound, and I did HTTP from 80, SSH from 22, and the IP was from
it'll come. Yeah, that one. 7311.
225, 252.
Copy paste, please. Copy paste.
So I thought that's the same one though. Is it different? 73. Ooh. You wanted to take control?
No, I just requested it, but I don't need to.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I just copy pasted again and it's the same one that I already had.
Okay.
I don't think that's the problem. So I'll just save this again, I guess.
I think you may be just impatient. It may be working. Go check.
Yeah, let's check. Maybe I'm just impatient. It's just been sitting here. So I don't know.
Hold on.
You can continue on if you'd like, and I
No, no,
can.
it's okay. We can find out what's going on because I think it is important. So
Okay.
the selection you have is matching the number you had. So just paste it. Is there a difference the two? You had two different values here apparently. Did you?
I thought I had
Cancel.
32.
32 is correct. I cancelled and 32 is correct. Now let's go look at the default VPC security group. And you have a bunch of other security groups here in the Ohio region. And I want to make sure that we are looking at the correct.
Oh, did we have which one was? I had the one at the top called
Uh,
ignore, which I thought was what I did from the default.
Okay, okay. Let's go do this one also. I don't know what this one is used or that one is used. So let's go see which group was used, whether it is this or that.
Okay.
So we don't know. I think it is using this group, I suspect.
Okay.
So that's the reason why. So let's go modify this one quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And the copy, go here.
Mm-hmm.
Is it this one? I suspect it is this one, but we'll find
Yeah, I
out.
think that's probably it. I didn't see there was a second default in there.
Yeah. So we'll figure it out.
SSH.
Now that this is open, we'll check the EC2 dashboard and the running instance and which security group it is actually using. And it is using this one. And the number is the shorter one.
Yep. Is it this one? The answer is yes. So I
Okay,
can,
that means your security groups we have. This one needs to be deleted.
yep.
Cannot be. Do you have double default VPC or
I
what?
don't know. That's what I'm not. Oh, is it because, oh, I have two VPCs and I forgot to select
Okay, okay. That's
the
the reason.
default. So it has the default. I was dealing with the default for my personal VPC that I set up, right? For my, the assignment we had. Yeah. There we go.
Can you go back to the terminal, see if it has responded or what?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if it did.
Yep.
Yes,
Like it
yes,
did.
it did apparently. So I think it finished that quickly. Can you scroll up and check?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Welcome to
Welcome to Chef
that.
Emily.
That's kind of small, but yeah, I can see it. There I am. Cool.
So it
All
worked.
right. It
It
worked.
worked because we finally managed to open the port within the time window before it
Yes.
expired.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So let's go do a couple of other things right here as we are on this command line, which is, you know what, you see that this role that we have, the starter role, that's our run list, right? If you go look at here and look at your starter role, you will find that it does have an override attribute that has your name. And let's go see what that override attribute does. So it has a run list inside called recipe starter, which is a reference to the cookbook called starter, which has a recipe called default, which does this thing called log an entry called welcome to chef, and then this attribute.
Mm.
This attribute is the starter name node attribute. that name, starter name attribute is overridden in the role. See, the starter name is Emily.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have that override, in that case, what will happen is that, by the way, this is the extension I prefer. You can delete this one if you like. But what I'm saying is, hey, I think your key got recorded and you should delete your key. I saw your key briefly for a minute, like here on the knife RB. So it has been recorded now on the video.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, so I want you to delete your key, and I will make sure to delete. Don't worry, don't do it right now. Just
Oh, okay.
don't
Sorry,
worry.
let me go back to the
Yeah,
terminal.
no problem. I'll remember to delete that. No worries. But
Okay.
just do it one more time, basically. So we have recorded it, but it hasn't been published. The recording is not
That's
being
true. Just
published
you
yet.
and I
So
have seen it.
yeah, it's only you and I right now, and so no worries there. But uh, yeah, that's how particular you should be on these things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you notice that it was recorded, so
Mm-hmm.
now I can tell. By the way, not really fully tell because your key portion is not visible. See,
Oh,
so I
yeah.
cannot see the portion, but
It's
don't take
kind of a good
chances. Just
amount. Yeah.
don't take chances. This is not worthy of chance taking. So
Right.
don't do that. But for right now, let's proceed. What I'm talking about is that you can have a starter role that overrides the name with a different string. Like here, for example, you can make it something else, like uh, fun, whatever that was. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm forgetting the exact spelling of that thing, but just save it. So we just
Yeah.
save this and close, and then we will remember that we have updated our starter role, which means we should do this bundle exec and knife role from file and then roles starter. So now we are pushing the change we made to the kitchen out there in chef server, right? We just pushed that change.
Mm-hmm.
Now what I want to do is connect to this machine. And in that machine, I am connected and I want to run chef client myself manually. And when I do, what you will see is that it
Mm.
didn't run. Okay, hold on. I think validation was missing. Yeah, so I think this was a bad demo. Let's break it. What I want to show you is that let's come out of this machine. By the way, there's a couple of other things to examine and explore in this setup right now. So the demo did not succeed. I'll tell you what happened because
Okay.
the validation was missing. What I was trying to do is update the chef role and then run this again, and it failed. But no worries. We can also, while at this position, we can experiment with a couple of different things. For example, here, bundle exec knife EC2 server list, and it will come back with a list of all the machines you have running there. See, this is the machine that you have running there in the Amazon cloud, right? So it shows you that machine detail, the machine ID, instance ID, the name of the machine, the public IP, the private IP, the size T2 micro, the key pair used as workstation, the security group is default, and the machine used is this, AMI used is that. So that's how you can get a list of all the machines running in your cloud. Similarly, you can delete a machine on the command line. Like that. And it will oh, probably the S is not the right flag.
Mm.
Oh, what's the flag for deletion? Let's go run it again without this S. Knife is to server delete. Is it -I? No, we have to read the read this. I think that they'll tell us how to delete. So server delete, then the server node name s key default environments format verbose version yes to all prompts. Okay. I'm not sure exactly what the syntax would be, but I'll try a couple of different ones. Delete this one and see what happens. It should actually delete. And yeah, it is deleting right now, asking you the question, should I delete? And I'll say yes. So kill it. You can kill the thing just like that. And while we deleted that machine out there, in here, this machine is now dead. It is showing you running here, but if you refresh like this, it will show it is shutting down, and eventually it will show terminated. So that's the idea that you did on your command line. However, it is giving you a warning that I deleted the server, but the corresponding node and client entries for this machine on the chef server, this is chef server, were not deleted and remain registered with the chef server. What does that mean? It means this. So we need to delete that entry called I dash. So we can delete that entry. And this is the node entry that we want to delete because we have a limitation of only 5 nodes. So this will delete the entry of node from your chef server. The server itself is dead, the node is dead, but the node entry in chef server is now getting deleted right now.
So if you had gone to like the chef UI or something.
You would have seen that there.
Yeah,
yes,
and now
totally.
It's gone. Okay.
Totally. You would have seen that, but we skipped that step.
Yeah.
So now let us see whether we have to check the client list and see if the client list is containing that entry, I dash entry. We want to delete that entry also. Bundle, exec, knife, client, delete. And say yes to this also. And so it removes the client entry. So now you have a cleaned up chef server and you have a list of clients that is only your company validator. This is the validation for your company, or rather I should say organization in chef server, right? That's the name of your organization.
Yep.
And you have the node list is empty. Your list of servers running on the Amazon cloud is one dead machine, one dead, terminated. And this is terminated. This red flag will go away. The line enter will disappear in 1 hour from termination. So that's why when you have no machines running for at least 1 hour, it will not show that the dead machine, the dead body will disappear in 1 hour.
Okay.
That's how you should think about it.
The dead cow.
Yeah, the dead cow. Yes. So that's what we have been doing up until now. Now the next thing that I want you to think of is the other idea, which is right here. The way you invoke the run list was to invoke a role called starter. You can also invoke the cookbook directly. And if you do that, it will be called the recipe default in the starter cookbook. This is another way to write it. So you're looking at the default recipe in the starter cookbook. You can write it like this, or you can write it like without this. And that is implied default. So there are a couple different ways of running it. If you run it like this, basically take the same command and execute here. You will create a new machine. And this time it will invoke the starter cookbook directly without using the role. What does that mean? It means you will not see your name. Here your name shows up. That will not be visible because we are not actually using the role. We are directly invoking the starter recipe. And in the recipe, in the starter default recipe, the starter name is not defined or not overridden. So there are some default values of the starter name attribute, and that starter name attribute has a default value of Sam Doe. So that's the name you will see when it runs. So it will say, welcome to chef, comma, Sam Doe, as opposed to your name, because we are running it differently this time. This time we are directly invoking the chef cookbook called starter and ignoring the override provided by the starter role. So here you see Sam Doe.
Yeah,
right?
I see.
The reason it picked up, because that's the default attribute value, Sam Doe. And we are not overriding with this Emily before. And so if you use this kind of an override attribute, it will override and show your name. But we didn't. So it did not. It just ignored this thing completely because it doesn't even know what to do with it. So because the run list doesn't define a role and the cookbook says Sam Doe, so it shows Sam Doe. You get the idea here about overrides?
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay, this is the override idea. So I think this exercise is done, practically speaking. So we want to now reuse the entire kitchen, but get rid of all these things like starter, cookbook, and delete that maybe. That's boring. Cookbook is kind of pointless. So this role is also boring. It just overrides a name, not interesting enough. So get rid of that. We have this lock file, we'll keep it, gem file, we'll keep it for now. These files I will delete, not necessary, we'll talk about that later. This ignore will delete right now, talk about that later. And this cookbook folder, roles folder, and those folders are kind of sort of reusable, but they're empty right now. So what I want to do now is to switch over to the other exercise. And here, what I want to do is go back to, can you bring the lesson plan that we had, the step-by-step instructions? So I'm trying to recollect. I don't memorize the whole thing, although I have apparently memorized the whole thing, but that's kind of hard to do. So yeah, mark it complete, move forward. And let's get to the, yeah, we did that. And you can do the same exercise with another cloud company if you like. Okay. And by the way, this sheet is just the cheat sheet. So go back a step, please.
Okay.
Go back one step, back direction. Let me take you there. Hold on. Okay, yeah, this sheet. This is the sheet that is actually not an exercise, but as you will see, it contains a cheat sheet.
Okay.
So this cheat sheet is basically shortcuts for you to get things done, for example. So this is not actually an exercise, but a collection of things you can do. For example, find out what's running. You already saw that. And then use knives to start a cloud machine. And you did that twice. You will find that the region selection has to be carefully done. You will also need to check your AMI ID is correct. And all of these things go in one line, which you already understand. You can, delete a server you don't need. We did that. Delete the node from the chef server. We did that. Delete a client from chef server. We did that. And if sometimes the cloud company gives you key in one format and you want to create in a different format, there is a cheat sheet for that. And you want to connect to your cloud instance, you can go this way, which you already done. If you want to bulk delete old cookbooks from the chef server, this is the command. So let's go run this and clean up our chef server, which has that cookbook that we don't need. So let's go do that here. Delete all the books we have on the chef server. So it's done deleting. We'll now see bundle exec knife node list, and we have that node that we just created. So I want to delete that node. So we'll say bundle exec knife node delete.
Before you do, oh, never mind.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll do like 10 more.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
I
No,
was just wanting to pull up the
yeah, go ahead
UI.
to that. Yeah, take your time.
Oh, let's see.
I said no to it.
Okay, let's see. Where was I? So it would be
Policy.
in policy.
Policy will show no cookbooks because I deleted them all, but nodes will show you nodes. One
Okay,
node,
so this is the one you're about to delete. Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So now you can delete from the web browser or you delete from here, either way. The
Okay.
browser sucks, by the way. The browser doesn't work.
So we'll just delete this guy.
Yeah, I delete from here and say yes.
And yes.
And same, do this action for deleting the corresponding client entry. So bundle exec knife client delete. So delete that. Then we'll also delete the server running in the Amazon cloud. Bundle exec knife EC2 server delete this one. So it deletes the server. And so yes. So go and bye bye. The dead machine is, you can see the dead body right there. Bundle exec knife EC2 server list, and you probably see two dead bodies now. There we go, shutting down. And so let's go back to this cheat sheet. So you saw the old cookbook deleted. Now I want to delete the role that I have there. So bundle exec knife role delete starter, and that is gone, or I mean gone now. And then what else we have? Upload a particular cookbook. We don't have Apache cookbook here. Upload all cookbooks in a given folder is like this. Upload, list all the cookbooks we have, and you can various ways to create other things. Here is a bulk delete of what? Old roles. Upload role to a chef server, listing roles with knife, listing nodes from chef server, assigning a base role to your node. We'll get to these exercise steps at a subsequent time. Setting production environment, checking the status of a node, run your cookbooks, listing out running instances, deleting your instances. So a bunch of cheat steps, shortcuts, right? Let's go further. Now this time you will see that this is the most intense exercise about to begin. And we will begin right now. While beginning this, I would like you to pay attention that if any time this intensity drowns you out, that you please play this video. As you notice, this video is like 2 hours and 13 minutes long. It's a fairly long video. It is just one exercise. And what did I just do?
Uh-oh.
Hold on.
How did that happen?
No, I think I clicked something by mistake.
Oh.
So it was me.
The first one there, yeah. There we go.
Okay. So what this thing is this exercise, if I do it myself in a live session, it takes me anywhere between like 3 to 4 hours, sometimes more, depending on how many people ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I have attempted to do in this video is it actually takes you through the entire exercise without anybody asking any questions. And it still takes me, I'm explaining everything, by the way, along the way. But if you see this video, it's 2 hours and 13 minutes long. And that is how the depth of the exercise is. It basically walks you through every single idea that you will deal with in the context of using Chef with a professional deployment of a full-fledged application. And in this particular video, the reason I have it here is to just refer to it as quickly as you can, as opposed to like, piling, going through like a multi-session videos of over a couple of days. So that's, it's a focused video available if you want to recap something.
Okay.
That's why I have it there. This was, I think, recorded a couple of years ago, but it's there. So you don't have to watch this video, by the way, because I'm doing it live with you. You don't have to watch, but if you want to, you can later on, not right away.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to, just it's like a short summary of. It's not short. It's a summary. It's a summary. It's not short. So now let's see. What we're going to do is prepare our kitchen to work with Chef Server. So we have this Chef starter zip already downloaded, right? We'll reuse it. So what I want to do is delete a bunch of things which we already have done. So we'll complete the lesson, move forward in the next step. And so what we want to do now is enforce version discipline with a gem file.
Mm-hmm.
You already understand the concept.
Mm-hmm.
That concept is to discipline and put version numbers to every single thing we'll be doing in the context of some project. So in this example, the gem file is excruciatingly long, like really long, 161 or something gems. Begins like this. In practice, it is not this long in real life. It is deliberately this long to illustrate a point and also help me.
Mm-hmm.
The way it helps me is that it basically puts down every single entry in this gem file. And therefore, it helps me by making sure that everybody who takes the program is at the exact same versions of every single thing. Which means this gem file that we have needs to be updated with this new gem file that I have in my copy buffer that goes like this. There are 162 entries, by the way, 63 actually, but there are 161 gems, 161, because the first line is the reference and the second line is the Ruby version. There are a total of 161 gems in this listing. Now, with this understood, I want to bundle these gems. So I will do that. And this will take maybe 3 minutes, or maybe it will fail. It will fail because of something. Like, for example, you can see why it failed. It failed because our bundler version is different than what's in the gem file. So gem list and then grep for bundle, and you will find that the version of bundle we are using is this. Okay. Whereas the one you have it installed is this. So we have to either match with what we have in our gem file, or we update and use this, update the gem file to use this. So we have two choices. See, the gem file is saying 116.1.
Mm-hmm.
What you have installed is two versions, 117.0 pre-2, and one more, this. You have two versions of bundler installed, and gem file expects a third version. So you have to match it somehow. So it's up to us as to what we want to do. So what I will do is take this version, which is the one you are currently using, copy it, put it there in our gem file for the bundler to use, like that.
Okay.
Save, close, go back here. And then we'll run it again. This time it might work, or it might take a lot of time. And it didn't.
That was near instant.
I know. It is it is nearly instant because I have already done this before I gave you the machine.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, this thing takes time. I know I have done it like so many times. So this takes time, but I have done this a whole action already on my computer already before I packaged up the OVA package and gave it to all of you.
Mm.
Therefore, it doesn't take you much time. And I did this action deliberately because I know some of you don't have big enough machines. Like your machine is uh, this VM. Your VM is only 4 gigs of RAM. That's a decently big machine, by the way, decently big VM. So no issues here.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes people have a total memory available to their actual machine is 4 GB, and out of that they will give the VM 2.
I see.
And then they will take a long time, and sometimes things fail. That's why
Mm-hmm.
I have already done it for you. And that's why you see that this completes 161 gems quickly. So the reason it did it so quickly is already done. The reason I put such a long list of gems in here is to make sure that all of you succeed like this. I
Mm-hmm.
have done this program like 6 years now. So I know what goes on in, what people run into. And then sometimes this time we have a short group, like 3 people plus some remote users. And the scenario typically is a big class, especially the January class is large. And so
Yeah.
that is where, it becomes hard on me because I make sure that I answer every single question. And if people are running into issues left and right, it really takes a toll on me sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the case at all these days, because I have learned how to reduce that problem, and that's one of the reasons why I have such a long gem file. But the real reason why you should have a long gem file like this is, can you bring that thing back, the browser?
Yeah. Oh, hold on.
The reason you should have such a long such a long gem file is that you also want to do similar things like I'm doing. In your team, you want to make sure that team members don't run into trouble, that they are all using exactly this version of gem,
Mm-hmm.
I18N, and exactly this version of gem for, maybe FFI, or God knows what. It doesn't matter, anything, Shed 0, 450. That's the version you want to really regulate. In the entire, all of your team members should have exact same versions, so that everybody is able to run quickly and everybody knows what other people are doing, so they are on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
Except one thing that I needed to change was this bundler version to match your machine, and we can handle it multiple different ways, which is either to change the gem file or install the version you have in the gem file on your machine. So there are many ways to handle that problem. But this is a problem that you cannot really avoid, because bundler is needed to use the gem file, and you need to install bundler outside the gem file, because then you can use bundler to install other gems using the bundler method. So it's a chicken and egg situation there.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
So that's why we had to manually adjust it. But otherwise, we have a situation where our gem file enforces version discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And we are working in our chef repo. And so that's our gem file. And we now have the gem file that looks like this. Now, having that gem file and a corresponding lock, we can proceed forward with the next step. The next step is get rid of starter role, which we already killed it.
Mm-hmm.
We want to get rid of our starter RB cookbooks, and then get rid of the known host file. This is something important, especially when people are new to using command line, in that they will run into a problem where things were working before and now they don't because of a SSH authentication issue. And so therefore you can avoid that issue by getting rid of the file called known host. So now you don't know any host. So everything is new for you. That's the underlying idea. Similarly, we have to create a bunch of new folders here. We have a cookbook folder, which is empty. We have a roles folder, which is empty. But I need a bunch of other folders like these guys. So I'll create them like here. And now we will have a bunch of new folders. And we will use them here. So you will see now I have, okay, this is, we don't need that folder. And so we have a cookbooks, data bag, environment roles, site cookbooks, a bunch of new folders created. We wanted those. We wanted these because we will actually fill up these folders with relevant content. So your folder structure looks like this, and we go forward with the next step. We complete the lesson, then we go open the .chef folder, and we look at our knife RB and our username.pem, and this is what we need to match item by item. So we again go copy from here and match it item by item all the way to the bottom, like that. Copy. And I'll let you drive, but what I want you to focus on is to go look at this knife RB in which you have your secret credentials exposed. Remember that. And at 7 o'clock, I will delete your key. So don't worry about that. I will remember to do that. But paste it here. And now start comparing with what you have up on top and what you should have at the bottom. And let's go see.
Okay.
So go to the top. Compare line by line. And see what we need to keep and what we should have. So the way to compare this is basically go to the top and start looking at every line. Now you have double copies of every single thing, apparently. So the thing you want to get rid of is the first line. It goes away. This line also goes away. And now you have this line, which is a duplicate. So you delete this one, log level, delete that one, log location, delete username. You need to keep your name, client key, your client key, chef server URL. That URL is correct. This one is not correct. So I need to update that in the web browser, which I will update that later on. Where is that? Here somewhere. Yeah, this thing needs to change. I will change that later. And back here, we need to get rid of this. There is the cache type option, which is not there up at the top. So we'll grab that option. The cache options option, you want to keep that. You want to have this line also. These 3 lines are missing. We need to keep them. So we go forward. We have a cookbook path. We should make sure that we are correctly matching line number 7 with 26. We need to do that. So we'll grab 26 and take it up to the top to below line number 7 and item by item match it. And so here is your 7 and here is your 8. And let's go match it. There are subtle differences, so you should pay attention to that. And let's see the differences are. The differences are very subtle. Like you remember that from the previous time, we have site cookbooks. We don't have it here. So we want to keep the new line, not 7, but 8.
Okay.
Like that. We have these 3 things that are new. We want to keep them somewhere here. And then we have, these are cosmetic. You can put your name here. And like that. If you'd like to have a Cloud Genius email address, you can take that and use it if you like. It's your choice. I can give it to you if you're interested, like this. But it's up to you. And then you can keep them as is. We have our knife configuration for Amazon Cloud already taken care of, so we don't need these guys. We have our DigitalOcean. We will populate that soon. Don't need this one. Don't need this one either. If you're going to use these exercises with Microsoft Cloud, you need to go follow these steps. That is, the exercise is set up to work with Amazon Cloud, DigitalOcean Cloud, and Microsoft Azure. So it is already set up like that. So that's why you can keep these 35 and 36 lines as is, and later on update them when you are ready to use Azure Cloud if you are interested. And line 38, and most importantly, line 39, leave it alone right now as is, on comment later, not right now. So with this, we want to fill this up soon. We'll do that. Let's see what the instructions say for the next idea, which is to put everything in Git control. That's the important thing to understand, that we want to put everything we have here is in Git control. Now the challenge is, you are putting this in Git, and I want you to remember to not use GitHub. Don't even push it anywhere. The moment you push, you might accidentally push these guys, and you don't want to push them to the GitHub website. That's where the problem arises.
Okay.
When people accidentally push to GitHub. And so you don't want to actually send this item out to public, because if the people will get hold of this thing, they will hack your account in 10 minutes flat.
Yeah,
and you don't want that to happen, right? You don't want that to happen. And you can systematically prevent that from happening by inserting a new file in here called .gitignore. And that file is currently empty and is sitting right here at the root folder level. And what I want to do here is to make sure that I write down to ignore anything in this folder, so that it will not put that thing in Git repository. That's the idea behind that file. So we have a file here called and that file contains this pattern, which matches this pattern. And that pattern contains, that folder contains a file called kniferb, which contains your credentials. And so we are ignoring it now, asking Git to ignore anything in the .chef hidden folder. You can be even more explicit about it and explicitly tell Git ignore to ignore the .chef folder and kniferb inside. You can also be very particular about saying that, ignore this file called Emily
GLEIS.
Please correct. .pem.
Yeah.
So these two files I'm basically hiding. I'm asking I'm asking Git to ignore these two. Okay, so now let us see. We'll say Git initialize, Git add. Now Git status. You see, it says the files to be committed are new files called .gitignore, which is the file containing instructions for Git to ignore certain things.
Mm-hmm.
There is a gem file is a new file. There's a lock file and a readme file. Readme file is also not necessary. It's something like our scratch pad, right? So we can maybe rename it as scratch and ignore it. It's basically scratch, right? It's kind of pointless. So with that scene, you will see that git status has a change, which means it had this readme before, but now it is deleted. But did we delete? Yes, we did. What happened to the scratch file? It is not even here. See, git add dot. Oh, sorry. I need to do these things again. I'm confusing you. So rm dot git. So let's begin again. Git init and then git add. And what you will see is git status shows you that there is a file called git ignore. There is a file called gem file, and there is a file called gemfile.lock. That's it. There's nothing else in the Git repository. The 3 new files. But whatever happened to all these guys? Like we have scratch. Okay, we know it is ignored here. We have these 2 files. We know they are both ignored here and here.
Mm-hmm.
But we have these folders. Why are they ignored? Who ignored them? We don't know that yet. So we want them to be actually not ignored, meaning we want them to be kept. So to keep something is a specific action you have to do, provided it is empty. And so Git has this property that if something is empty, for example, all these folders currently, they are empty. So it will not include them. Therefore, you have cookbook folder is not there in the listing. This is missing, this is missing, this is missing, this is also missing, even though there is no reference in git ignore. This is missing for a reason, because we know that we have an entry in git ignore in this file. We know that. But why is this missing? Because it is empty, and Git doesn't include empty things. But we want to keep them. So what do? You do a file called git keep. Literally, the name of the file is to keep. So it goes like this. It's an empty file with a .git keep name. That's a convention. You can use any name you like. And you want to basically create more such files everywhere, wherever you want to have an empty folder kept. Like that. And you can do that easier in command line. So I'll just do it here.
So for the git keep, you have to make files everywhere you want to keep, but for git ignore, you make one and then list you want to ignore?
Correct. Every empty folder you want to keep needs a git keep file.
Okay.
I think that should do it. So now let us say git add and check git status. And now we have cookbook, databag, environment, roles, and site cookbooks. Mm-hmm. The technicality here is that these folders are not empty anymore because of the empty file in there. So they're not empty anymore. So now Git takes care of them. See that these folders are not empty anymore. We have git keeps or something there, like something to keep. So we keep empty files. That's the convention that people use to use these git keep files to keep the empty folders because we need them later on. So that's the idea. Mm-hmm. So with these git keeps in place and git ignores in place. That git ignore looks like this, as you know already. Oh, that it has the scratch, which you don't want to push to GitHub. And by the way, avoid just pushing it. Avoid any push, because I don't want to risk. There's nothing risky anymore because we have hidden it from Git. So Git doesn't even know the existence of this file at all.
Mm-hmm.
But just be cautious. Don't push. We'll push when we need to, and we'll handle it with care. And so at this moment, we can put that in a Git commit. So now we have a Git repository. Nothing to commit. Things are clean. The listing is like this. And that's what we just did in putting everything in Git control. We'll mark this lesson, proceed forward. Now we'll do the next idea, which is I need some cookbooks. So how do I get cookbooks? I will create a file here called, file here called, what was it called? Burks file.
Burks file, yeah.
Right. So like Burks file, there are, in the open source, there are always more than one ways of doing things. And so this example, we'll use a different tool, not the Burkshelf tool, but another tool called librarian tool. And that expects a file called chef file, pretty similar to Burks file, but just a different tool. So not using Burks file, but using chef file. What we will do is fill it up with this content, which is basically similar to Burks file. It contains a list of books we need, a long list.
And is it just preference for which one you use?
No, it depends on the project. It's not just randomly selected. It's very carefully selected list. I'll tell you why we select these things. Because I want to run, my application needs to run on a cloud machine, which needs certain things. And so those are the things that I need listed out.
So I mean, between like using Burks file or using chef file, are those the same or they're different?
They're structurally similar, but materially different. They function the same way.
Okay.
But two different projects. One of them is called Librarian Chef, which we will need to install, like this, Librarian Chef install. And the other one is Burks install. So basically operate the same way. And if you remember, or rather take a look here in gem file, we have librarian in the listing. Where is it? There. Mm-hmm. So we installed librarian chef already. And what we want to do is ask librarian to go to the community location, which was the old name for supermarket. The supermarket, Mm-hmm. This is the old name. And it will go grab these books from there. And these books that we have, actually we'll take a look at these books as to what we really are trying to install. What we're really trying to build is a WordPress service. WordPress is an open source software. Like this is a WordPress website. And this is also a WordPress website. And there are probably like 34% of the internet uses WordPress. And so the number is 172 million. Wow. That many websites. So it's like shocking. Mm-hmm. Is just sheer number of companies use WordPress. The reason people use WordPress is because it is open source. And it is fantastic. It is beautiful. And I'll show you who created it. His name is Matt. This person created WordPress several years ago. And where is Matt? I think his picture is not here anymore. No, he's like 25 years old now. I think maybe 30. I don't know. But he's very young. And yeah, not that that's like a child's picture, but Matt is
Wow, he
actually,
really is young.
yeah, he's young. He's like a 30-year-old maybe max, and he has created a company called Automatic, and that's the company that runs WordPress.com, which is a service available for free. That's free as in $0. $0. 31% of the internet. That's the statistic right there.
Wow.
And we are using this underlying software available here in this website. And that's the software called WordPress, which I also use, by the way. This is also WordPress. That's the tool that we want to get, and we want to install it basically by it is priceless and also free. And you download it right there and you use it. So it will download, and that's what we will do eventually, but not manually download like this. Instead, we will use the chef way of installing this properly. And so I need to help you understand what does it take to get this thing installed properly in a context of any cloud of your choice. And so that's what we are doing, is to read documentation for WordPress. And let's go find out what the documentation says. In the documentation, it will tell you how to install WordPress. And installing WordPress requires a couple of things. What do you need to do before? You need to check requirements, the minimum requirements we need to satisfy. The requirements that we have is that we need to have a machine running PHP, a machine running MySQL Server, and HTTPS support. That's the requirement of a WordPress website. You need to use Nginx or Apache as the recommendation. It's not a requirement, the recommendation. And of course, you can run Nginx and Apache on a Windows machine, but we will be using Linux. So what this translates to is this. We are essentially using PHP cookbook, MySQL cookbook, Apache cookbook. See, all the requirements that I have here are mentioned in various cookbooks in the list called chef file. Right? That's what I'm really trying to build towards. So the reason why we have these listed, and so many of them, actually you begin with only a few of them, like this one, and this one. And then the rest of these guys you add as needed. And that's what I have done here, is I've added other cookbooks based on experience of running this over and over again, and making sure that I make the project repeatable for every single participant in the bootcamp. If they follow these steps, it will work. That's what I have made sure by enumerating exact combinations of things that will work together. And I want to make sure that this exercise works in multiple clouds, like 3 different clouds, for example, that we have in our Knife RB here. So DigitalOcean Cloud, EC2 Cloud, and Azure Cloud. And therefore, we have in our gem file a Knife reference to Knife EC2, Knife DigitalOcean, Knife Azure. And these 3 plugins allow me to have this exercise work with 3 different clouds. And then they come with their own dependencies, and they sometimes fight with each other. And then what I have done in this long list of 161 gems is to sort out that fight by using the exact combinations of version numbers for these 161 gems that will work together. In practice, you'll probably use one cloud, one or the other. So it's your choice. That's in reality. People use one cloud at a time, not like this with 3 clouds. And so that's the reason why you will actually have a smaller gem file, not this long. And you might have this big a chef file, or maybe bigger, or maybe smaller. But chef file is a collection of cookbooks that you will obtain from the community, also known as supermarket. This is the old name. The new name is different, but names do not really matter too much because there is a redirection happening in the back end, so it will work. So what I want to do now is to get the books. So we'll go and say, hey, librarian, can you please go get me the books? And the librarian will actually go get the books and place them right here in our cookbooks folder, directly right here. And that is a behavioral difference between librarian and Burks. Let's go run it. This takes a long time sometimes. I'll run it. And the books will pop up somewhere here. You will see that happening. You see that happening already here in the TMP folder. Librarian is starting to collect a cache of all the sources of chef cookbooks from the location where it is grabbing those books, and it is collecting them here. And once they collect in the temporary location, it will then move them to the cookbooks folder. That's what's going on right now. It doesn't tell you here, but that's what's doing in the temporary location. That's why it takes a little time, and it kind of makes a little impatient as to, hey, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And then once this action finishes, which is going to finish soon, I see the list is growing, which is nice. And as soon as the list grows and completes the list of all the books we need, then it will basically transport all these books over to the cookbook folder, which will happen soon. You see that this, sorry?
Oh, I was going to say, while we're waiting, I'm still just not quite understanding the difference between the Burks file and the chef file.
We're not using this at all at this moment, but...
No, I know, but are they the same thing or are they not? As I know they're different files, but they work the same way, so I don't get why you would use one over another.
You don't.
You don't.
You should, these days you should just use Burks file.
Okay.
Totally. It works better in most cases. This is just an alternative approach.
Okay.
That also works, but this is a better approach. Like subtleties here. The subtlety is that the Burks file will keep all the books in a central location, not clutter your repository.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the benefit that you want to, like this chef file librarian tool, it dumped all the books right there in the cookbooks folder right now, which is not something you may want if you are like 50 different projects, all of them using the same cookbooks. You will have 50 copies of the same thing flying around in 50 different folders. That's not ideal. Okay. So that's one drawback of using librarian. That's one of the reasons why you should not be using librarian. But the reason why I am using librarian is to just tell you about it. There's no other reason.
Okay.
It works, and it did work, you can see. Mm-hmm. But just subtle cosmetic issues and certain benefits that you will see. So in short recommendation, use Burks file. But this is just another way. Both are good. Nothing wrong with any one of them.
Gotcha.
So we have books now. We'll go to the next one. And I think we timed out, but I want to do one little thing before I stop recording this. And that one little thing is that these books that we have are already available in our cookbooks folder, just like we obtained them from the community. Other people in the team can also obtain the same books, right? So we don't need to actually provide all these books over in our Git repository to our team members, which means in our Git ignore, we should ignore all the cookbooks.
Okay.
And by doing that, when we say git add, it doesn't, I think this is a little change in Git 2.0 behavior. So what is going on is that we have previously said don't ignore, and now we are ignoring it. And that's what it says, ignore removal. So git add ignore removal is what we need to do to resolve it. or we can just say git add all.
Ignore removal of what?
Ignore removal of the earlier step. We had this one kept with the git keep,
Oh, I see.
and now we are ignoring it, right? That's the conflict.
Okay.
So now if you see git status, it will show you that it has a bunch of new files, and we don't want that. So by action, what you're really dealing with is the simple way to think about this is to just clean up one more time and think clearly as to what we really want to accomplish. What we have is on our cookbook folder, there is this thing called .git keep, and I want to remove that. So remove .git keep. Where's the git keep file? Oh, it's not there. Yeah, it is not there apparently, because it got deleted, it seems. That librarian deleted it. That's another bad behavior of librarian. It deletes without permission. Shouldn't be deleting. Yes, I think it is librarian who deleted that. What librarian does, it deletes the cookbook folder and creates it again. And in the process, it deletes everything it was there to begin with.
I see.
So what we should do is to make sure that we understand what we have in our git ignore. We have our cookbooks folder marked as ignored. Sorry, this one. So now we'll say git initialize and git add. And now you will see git status showing all these ideas. And we don't want, I think we should, I think what's showing up here is actually temporary folder. Okay. Which means we have to go and ignore the TMP folder also. Here, TMP. That folder is created here and it is getting registered in Git. So we have to clean up again.
Mm-hmm.
Now it is clean.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can see that we have a Burks file. We don't need, we shouldn't have that Burks file there. Maybe we should have ignored it. But yeah, just do it right. So I'm going to clean up the Burks file and remove Git and do it again. What do I want to do? Git init, git add, and git status. So now it is git ignore, chef file and lock, gem file and lock, data bags git keep, environments git keep, roles git keep, site cookbooks we want to keep and share with our team members. But cookbook folder, this one, don't want to share it with them. I want to rather share the list with them. Mm-hmm. Not the actual books, because they can also run the command called, librarian install command. They can also do this. So that's what we have. And at this stage, we have a git commit captured. And git status shows clean, git log shows you this initial entry, and that completes this step. And with that, I can stop recording today and we'll resume the next time. So we can send books to Chef Server. So it's a long, lengthy process. You can, by the way, go ahead and do it. It doesn't, if you find time, go do it. Today is what? Wednesday. So we get together again Friday. You may not have time, but it's okay. If you find time, do it. Otherwise, we'll do it live in the next session. Okay. I will now take control and stop recording.